Hi, so today we're making pizza from scratch. I'm going to show you how I stretch out the pizza dough and make 4 different kinds of pizzas today with different toppings. Of course, the toppings are up to you, but I'm just going to walk you through the stretching and the the topping part, and tell you about some of the ingredients that you have to have and some of the ingredients that are just optional and make the pizza better. Here I've got 4 pieces of pizza dough that has been relaxing and resting and coming to room temperature. I made those early this morning and then I let them rise slowly in the fridge. So that's the essential part. So my pizza dough is made with bread flour, rye, and whole wheat flour, olive oil, and honey. And then I made some tomato sauce earlier this morning. I started with crushed tomatoes, crushed canned tomatoes. These are not my tomatoes. But I added some balsamic vinegar and some herbs to it, and then I just let it sit. I have made some mozzarella, so this is homemade mozzarella that I've cut up into slices. They were preserved in olive oil with herbs again, so this is my sliced mozzarella. But of course you could use shredded mozzarella from the store, and then I would advise that you get low moisture so it doesn't seep out moisture into your pizza dough and make it soggy. So another important part is you need some cornmeal, and you should have a pizza peel. So we're going to put cornmeal on top of the pizza meal. The cornmeal, and this is just fine cornmeal, but you can also use coarse ground cornmeal, although my kids don't like the texture. But the cornmeal is like having almost like little beads or marbles below your pizza dough to keep it from sticking when you're transferring it into the oven. So we've got that ready. All right, I've got other toppings. I've got garlic, I've got some olive oil, I've got sardines, I'm sorry, not sardines, but anchovies, which I like, and then pepperoni, and I sauteed some mushrooms ahead of time. So I always saute my mushrooms ahead of time to get rid of some of the water. So again, it's not releasing a lot of water into your pizza, making the dough soggy, and then ending up with like a dry, brittle mushroom on top. I've also got some Parmesan, and I've got a ricotta mixture with herbs, because I'm going to use that to make a white pizza. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you how to stretch out the pizza dough. And first thing is we got to take off all our jewelry. Okay, and then I've got some extra bit of bread flour here, and I'm going to get my surface ready. I'm going to get it pretty well floured. And then I'm going to get my arms ready because we're going to stretch on our arms. So coat the backs of your arms so that the dough doesn't stick. I'm going to take my first pizza dough, and I do want to make sure it's at room temp, because if it's straight out of the fridge, it's not going to be very elastic and you'll probably tear holes in it. So first thing we're going to do, just a little bit of flour on the top. So we're going to use our fingertips. I don't really have any nails, and I'm going to just gently stretch it out like this, first on the countertop. And then I'm going to pick it up on the backs of my hands, and I'm going to quickly go around creating a crust with my thumbs on the edges of the dough, but slowly stretching on the backs of my hands and going around quickly, and all the while creating a crust at the edge. So you can see some parts are thinning out faster, so I'm going to go back to the parts that still have a thick crust and try to thin that out a little bit. And I don't really know how to throw pizza dough, so we're not going to do that. And I'm just going to take a look at it here, and I want to thin that out a little bit more at the edges. because I still have some thick spots, which I can see pretty easily here with the sun shining through my window. And I'm happy with that. So I'm going to put it on my pizza peel. This one is going to be my white pizza. I'm taking a little bit of that olive oil that my mozzarella was sitting in, and it's been infused with herbs, fresh basil and oregano from our garden. I'm going to take a couple of tablespoons of this olive oil and spread it on my crust evenly. Just with the back of my spoon here. Okay, and then to that, I'm going to take some garlic that I've chopped ahead of time. This is just about 3 cloves of garlic. And by the way, my oven has been preheating to convection 550. And it's been preheating for an hour. And I've got a pizza steel in there. I'm going to just move that around a little bit to make sure we've got an even distribution of garlic on the pizza. Okay, and then this is when we add the ricotta. So the ricotta I mixed ahead of time with some dried herbs, oregano, thyme. I also used salt and a little bit of black pepper, and then I mixed it up. I'm just going to put it on blobs here, small blobs on our pizza. And you can definitely use homemade drained ricotta on this. Add some of my homemade mozzarella here. And then we're going to add a little bit of Parmesan. So about maybe a 1/4 cup, maybe less. Okay. And then I'm going to actually add a little bit of dried oregano on top. And then this is ready to go in the oven. As you can see, it moves freely on the pizza peel because of that semolina. So I'm going to stick this in the oven for about 5 to 6 minutes, and then we'll be back and take a look. So we're going to do one more pizza now, just so I can show you how we do different kinds. This one is a regular pizza with tomato sauce. So we're going to start the same way. Just kind of start to stretch out the dough on the counter. And then stretch it on the backs of our hands. So we're using gravity here, as well as our arms and fingers to stretch the dough. This one is a little bigger piece than the last one I had. Then when I'm close to getting it stretched in the middle, I start to work on the edge more and pay more attention to that. So again, I'm going to make sure that there's enough semolina on the pizza peel to make sure that my dough doesn't stick. And I'm going to just work on this a little bit more, getting the edges the way I want. Okay. And you could use a little bit more stretching on this side. Good, and I'm happy with that one. That is a much bigger. And don't stress if you get like a tiny hole. Like I've got a tiny, actually that's not a hole. Okay, but don't stress still, because if you've got your oven hot enough, that tiny hole is not going to make any difference. But if you like, you can just squeeze it, pinch it together, and seal it shut. I'm going to use about maybe between a 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of sauce. Not very much. Again, we're being careful not to load our dough so it doesn't get soggy. And I think this is a mistake that I made a lot in the beginning when I was learning to make pizza, is putting too much sauce. Pizza does not get that much sauce. I'm going to put some of my toppings underneath. You can put it on top if you like, but I am taking some prosciutto and some capicola. And just, this one's going to be a meat pizza, so I'm just shredding it up. So this one is for my husband because he likes the meat. I'm also going to take some of those mushrooms that I sauteed ahead of time and also put it underneath the cheese. All right, so I've got some mushrooms here. So the whole reason why I sauteed it in the beginning was just to draw out some of the water so it wouldn't be too moist on my dough. But we're not trying to cook these mushrooms dry. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and put my mozzarella on top. So this mozzarella has been sitting in olive oil, so that's why it's got a little bit of a yellow color. But I also made this mozzarella from A2 milk, and it's grass-fed, so it does have a little bit more yellow color than you would expect from regular milk. So that's all natural part of the process. So that's it for the mozzarella. For this one, I am going to throw on a little bit of parm on the top, just for a little more depth of flavor in our cheese. And then I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of dried oregano. And normally I would use my own dried oregano, but this is what I had on hand. Okay, so this one's going to go in the oven for about 5 to 6 minutes.
Good job.